Welcome. We're okay here at the That's Good Broncos podcast. Will Keys co-hosting with me. Shitty 24-hour span here for the Denver Broncos. Von Miller injury, the big news. We've got a real football game coming up. So today we're going to talk about what the Broncos can do without Von Miller, some coping techniques to help you sort of get through this time of mourning, really. And we will talk about some of the surprises on the Broncos depth chart. We haven't got to that. Aqib Talib retired, and we'll talk a little Broncos Titans. But I actually broke the news to you about the Von Miller injury, right, Will? What
Yeah.
How did you find out?
So I just like to mention, too, the sky here. It's a weird tint in my room, too, because the sky here is a bizarre shade of orange. It's 1:41 in the afternoon. The sky is orange, as if in mourning for our fallen king.
Yeah. Von Miller's not dead, but the globe is
He probably
showing their
actually
respect.
fell.
What's that?
Yeah. He did fall, I guess. When you hurt your ankle, I assume you fall over.
Yeah.
The way I found out was I was on Twitter, and the first tweet I saw was, "There is no God," from you. From your Twitter account. And I was like, oh, fuck. What happened? I'm just, praying that it's, not something too bad. But then again, when it elicits that kind of reaction from you, I was not expecting anything too good. And it turned out it was close to the worst possible scenario. I think
it was
there are
bad.
a couple other players where you could have been like, oh, fuck, this might be worse. But in the top two or three.
I think the top three you would assume would be Drew Locke, Von Miller, and maybe Cortland Sutton, where you just be
I would say Sutton and maybe Chubb, just because he missed all last year.
Yeah. Would
have really sucked. Locke's always going to be number one as long as he's playing quarterback.
Yeah.
But I devastating news, obviously, for everyone involved. We channeled the spirit of Daniel Day-Lewis in complete agony. Great video, I thought, by you. So check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, Will found me the Daniel Day-Lewis compilation of screams from his movies.
It's the video is just called Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's just him screaming. And it was honestly really cathartic after something like that.
Yeah.
You did a good job with the video. I was honestly, you never know, because after you have a child, what people say is it puts things in perspective. And I'm glad nothing has been put into perspective for you. And this is still a massive deal, which it should be.
Yeah, they say it changes you, but really you just become responsible for a human, and it's the most special thing that can happen to you in your life. But you also think about the fact that there's 8 or 9 billion people on this planet. So it's literally the least impressive thing two people can do. Anybody can make a baby. So it's I've already mentioned my baby several times in all of my videos. I'm sure that's going to annoy people. I'm going to try not to be overly proud of my daughter. If anything, last night, I'm up at 1 a.m. feeding her, and I didn't have my shirt on. And when I would take the bottle away, she would try to breastfeed on me. I'm like, if this baby's trying to get nipple through layers and layers of chest hair, I don't have high hopes for her chances of getting into Harvard. So I'm going to try to keep a realistic perspective about, how special my kid is. And not
that's where our friends at Manscaped can help.
Yeah. I guess I could just shave it would just confuse her more, though.
Yeah, maybe it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
That's the reason men have hair on their chest.
So the babies don't get confused.
Is to help the babies distinguish between mother and father. But yeah, we came up with some coping techniques.
Not for being a
That'll
father,
help.
but for dealing with Von Miller.
Yeah, that'll help. Coping techniques for being a father. I think this was, extremely useful at a time like this. And what do you do after you lose your best player other than, drop to your knees and worry that the season's over? I think we've got some alternatives. So you want to kick it off?
Yeah. So the first technique to cope with the loss of one of your favorite or best players is pretty obvious: drugs and alcohol. In states where drugs are legal, gotta say that for the censors out there. But just pick one and drink until you forget that football even exists. Is a way to do it.
And if you want to go crazy, do them both at the same time.
Yeah.
Then you'll really forget. Not only will you forget the injury, you'll forget just about everything.
Your mortgage, your energy bill, picking up your kid from school.
What you were doing that night. Yeah.
Number 2, what do you got there, Will?
After that comes denial. Just pretend it didn't happen. I think this one is pretty obvious. And a lot of people say it's the first thing that comes in the grieving process, but I think it's natural and it's healthy to just close your eyes and cover your ears and be like, nope, this isn't happening. For as long as you can.
What's that noise happening?
Oh shit! They're painting outside my house.
Oh.
Don't wait.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can wait a little bit because I'm. Yeah.
It's okay. We can't control that. I just didn't. You were moving a lot, so I didn't know if you were like hitting something.
Oh no!
I'm not
fucking guy. First, they waited until right.
No, they want to paint during our pod. That's okay. Fuck it. We're just gonna go. We're gonna go through it because the number 3 way to cope is with. This is really funny. Amateur medical analysis. So I think you got inspired by this, Will, by seeing a lot of Twitter experts explaining Von Miller's injury before they even knew exactly what his injury was.
Right, yeah. We had no idea really, just that it was his ankle. And when people hear ankle and injury, it's, oh, well, he just sprained it really bad, so he should be back in about 2 to 4 weeks. And so we'll just kind of go with that until proven. Literally, I don't know why you have to nail on the wall while you're painting, but and again, I'm not a painter.
Yo, this is the one painting crew that paints with nails out here in Sacktown. You want your house done right? We're gonna paint it with fucking nails, you cocksucker.
It's like the Mitch Hedberg joke. Go around. There is no door there. It's a wall.
Yeah, well,
I would say, coping technique number 4, just have someone hammer a nail into your head.
Yeah, while painting somehow.
Yeah, that makes sense. Number 4?
Yeah, number 4, talking yourself into the backups or considering every washed-up free agent available as a perfect replacement.
Yep. Shout out to 38-year-old Cameron Wake, 38-year-old Terrell Suggs, and my personal favorite, Shane Ray.
Bring Shane Ray back. Bring
All
Shane
discussed.
Ray X-rated back.
All discussed. That has possibilities there.
Yeah.
And then your number 5, I don't endorse this, but if you're really, really having a tough time, and I would wait until the team sucks to do this, but secretly rooting for another contender.
Yeah. It's time you have a backup plan as a fan. There's some teams out there you could hedge your identity in secretly, like the Ravens or somebody. Sort of, it's not going to ruffle Broncos fans' feathers if they somehow found out. So it's a coping mechanism. We had 4 solid ones and we needed a 5th, so that's really why that's there. Did you have another one in mind, or are we just gonna end with that one?
I would just double down on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, just circle back to one. Repeat.
Yeah, just a little more of that. Yeah, I think these are good enough until we get on the field and figure out what the team looks like. And if we're like taking a step back here and really going with some perspective, it's not. This isn't gonna like doom the season.
No,
I don't think it's gonna make it significantly harder, but it's not like things aren't over.
honestly,
sure.
like when you lose a guy like Von Miller, you want to lose them early in the season so your team can figure out how to play without him. If it were December and say the Broncos were competing for a playoff spot and Von Miller goes down and he's been a big part of the defense all season, that's when you really freak out because you have to, as a team, they have to make a shift at a very critical moment. So at least like with Chubb's injury last year, they can sort of figure it out as they go. Losing Miller, though, it's like he's just been that piece every single year that you know is going to be there. He's always healthy. If he ever is injured, it's minor. He plays all season. He plays well. It's just been that constant. So since was it his second season when he tore his ACL?
His third
season, yeah. So that was like the last time he had a major injury.
Right.
It was also the last time like he bulked up a little bit, and it looked like he kind of bulked up this offseason. I'm not saying that has anything to do with it, but as a man who studies other men's bodies all the time, I noticed it.
Yeah, as a hobby.
Yeah, I think I think he had to take down one of his pictures where he showed like his body transformation.
Oh.
He was in those like tight gray shorts, and you could just see his dick outlined so clearly. And everybody was just like pointing out his dick the whole time instead of his jacked muscles that he was trying to be proud of.
Yeah, you got to be gray is a dangerous color down there.
Yeah.
It provides a lot of contrast and can lead to those kinds of revelations, shall we say. But, yeah, I mean, what we've talked about is obviously this is the reason you spend a number 5 overall pick on someone like Bradley Chubb. And we're really, really hoping that he's going to be, recovered fully by either Monday night or week 2 or whenever. But, that it'd be nice to have a guy like Shaq Barrett. But obviously that wasn't something that was going to be sustainable as far as roster building. And you have to hang on to a guy like Von Miller. But it's another reason why you cultivate talent behind them, like Malik Reed, who I think was really coming on, I thought, at the end of last season, played pretty well at the beginning, and then at the end had a sack in that Detroit game. I should mention, too, that they played a full game without Von Miller last year for the first time in a long time. And they ended up getting 4 sacks, played pretty well as a defense, albeit against the Lions and David Blau. But, other guys stepped up. Like Draymond Jones had 2.5 sacks in that game. Like I said, Malik Reed had a sack. And I think it's just going to force everyone to contribute a little bit. There's not going to be one player that steps up. Like Malik Reed's not going to randomly have 14 sacks this year. It'd be cool if he did, but he's not going to play like Von Miller. So you just have to get a little more production out of Jarrell Casey, Draymond Jones, Shelby Harris, Chubb, everyone.
Attaochu, who they used quite a bit. Really like, I felt like they used him late. Well, did he only play? Yeah, they used him towards the end of the season more, I thought.
They did.
And he seemed to play well when he was in the lineup. Yeah, he was getting like 40-plus snaps from week 7 or from weeks 11 to 16. So he's the other guy that's, might be a key piece that fills in. He's also not going to get, 10-plus sacks. Maybe Bradley Chubb is able to be that guy who gets you those nice sack numbers and you pair off like other guys in there. I think Jarrell Casey will be an improvement over Derek Wolfe, and that's like hard to even say, but I think what he might do on the edge over there might open up more, actual sack opportunities, whoever they end up playing on his side, if that is Malik Reed, or I don't know if they're going to ask Chubb to play on that other side or how they're going to do it. But, it's you just hope for the best there, and you hope that the secondary is solid, and maybe if coverage is strong, which I think it could be this season, that it creates, better play at the line of scrimmage in the absence of a guy like Vaughn. And there is a chance right now, again, we're still waiting, that Vaughn could return this season. They're saying maybe his best recovery time, 3 months. Optimistically, like I guess it's a tendon that flipped over to the other side of the ankle or some shit. So that they got to maybe put that back on the correct side. I don't know how that works. But Sean Drotar brought up an interesting thing, and as an opportunity for the Broncos to sort of restructure Von Miller's contract to keep him in Denver long-term, but sort of shrink, I think, the 2021 cap hit he's going to have and get him more money later, which is an idea I like, because I do think this is a freak sort of accident. Like everybody said, it was a non-contact play. There weren't pads at practice. He just stepped on his ankle wrong, and it happened. So I don't think it's like a sign of his body starting to just deteriorate. Just like
right. There could be something to what you said too about bulking up and kind of not being able to, your legs not quite being able to handle that kind of like extra 15 pounds.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the real thing. But then again, like people do that all the time, and there's a ton of bad luck involved in there too. It's not like it was a ticking time bomb waiting to go off, as far as I can tell. Yeah, I think the whole kind of opportunity to keep him here long term, which I mean, obviously I hope happens, is real. And I don't think he's one of those players that is going to slow down just at like right after he hits 30 or year 10 or whatever mark. I think he's a guy like Suggs, Cameron Wake, who can play into his late 30s.
Yeah.
And another, 40, 50 sacks.
He seems like the type of guy who like genuinely enjoys being out there. So like those are the guys that will play that long. Like he's made all his money, but that's the other thing that sucks, because it felt like he was really excited about this season and had worked so hard on like his body and getting in the type of shape he wanted to be in, that it felt like he was going to have a big year. And I don't even want to say like a bounce back year, because, he played well last year, but I think like he was going to have more sacks. Like he was going to have more of the sexy stats that everybody sort of notices this year. And I felt like people were going to be talking about Von Miller sort of, I don't know, taking over games again. But, and that's optimism from a Broncos fan. But
that's all. Hey, that's the 6 coping strategy is what we're trying to build towards, which is optimism.
Right.
But they do have some options possibly at their disposal. I don't know if anyone's going to get here before Monday, but we brought up the old-ass free agents, which I don't know. I mean, you want to bring in someone like Cameron Wake, who had 2.5 sacks last year and kind of limited snaps as a pass rushing specialist, then, maybe you could do that. He played for Tennessee last year in a limited role, and he's 38 this year. But I saw someone bring up a guy like Ryan Kerrigan, who took kind of a step back a little bit last season. But the fact of the matter is Washington has so many good pass rushers, and they're not trying to compete this year. So it would make sense, I think, from their perspective, to send Ryan Kerrigan away in a trade, get a pick back, and kind of roll with, obviously, Chase Young is the big one. Matt Ioannidis is a really good player on the interior. Yeah, Montez Sweat, who you drafted in the first round 2 years ago, who had 7 sacks last year. And then Jonathan Allen. Like I think you're pretty damn good there, throwing a few sacks, and Ryan Anderson on the outside.
if Washington's smart, they'll realize you can never have enough depth at the pass rusher position for situations like this. But
Right.
you put it in the rundown, and I think I saw somebody tweet about it too. And so, like, I just tried to look up at, Ryan Kerrigan's stats, and he had 7 sacks last season. So that kind of fits the area we're talking about, where you're not looking for a guy to come in that's going to get you 15 sacks, but 7 sacks is nice. That was like a drop from 14 and 18 the year before. But the thing I thought about was Washington's defense was just bad last year. And specifically, their secondary was terrible. And when your secondary is terrible, it really affects, I think, your pass rushers, because you're not buying them any extra time to get sacks. So I'm not going to pretend like I watched enough Washington football to know whether or not Kerrigan actually got a little bit worse. But my theory is if you put him on a better defense, like, he might be a 10-sack player again this season. So I think that is an interesting option for the Broncos if it's more than just somebody on Twitter floated the idea and everybody, liked it, which I don't know.
Right. And, something Kliss brought up too was that, everyone's kind of yearning for that Chubb Miller bookend situation like we had Chubb's rookie season. But the fact of the matter is they combined for 26 sacks that year, and that wasn't like a very good defense. No. I know the reason that they went 6-10 was because they were pretty much bad overall. They were really bad on offense. But having 2 good pass rushers, it's not the most important position on the team, I don't think. There's a lot of people now that think that you play defense from the outside in, and the secondary is the most important facet of your defense. And because you can scheme away from pass rushers, and pass rushers can get taken out of the game, but you can't scheme away from great cover corners, great safeties. They're there no matter what. If you want to scheme away from them, fine, but that means you have to just avoid that side of the field. And so maybe a guy like Von Miller, as good as he is at his position, isn't as valuable as Justin Simmons or AJ Boye or Bryce Callahan this year. Again, I'm searching for optimism here. And I'm trying to talk myself into it as well as you. But
that's the tricky part, because Vic Fangio asks a lot of his outside linebackers, right? And part of the reason, Von Miller's sack numbers weren't maybe as high last year is because he was probably doing a little bit more than just pass rushing, whether that's, dropping off in coverage more often or whatever the hell, they do. So maybe you can get away with, I don't know, scheming that way where you're not even utilizing 2 edge rushers every play, and it's more of like an extra safety or corner on the field, like you're saying, to disguise into covering, or using those guys to blitz sporadically. So
yeah, Bryce Callahan had he's a good, I was going to say 4.5. That was what Logan Ryan had in terms of sacks last year. But the Bears used him. Obviously, Vic Fangio used him to blitz from that nickel position quite a bit. And so that's the thing, is like they're going to have to be a little more creative on defense. They're going to have to be a little more aggressive and blitz a little bit more. And they're going to have to be more aggressive on offense. And I think we wanted them to be more aggressive on offense regardless, but this kind of underscores it. And this, puts the emphasis on, we got to score 3 or 4 more points a game, I think.
Yeah. And I think the Broncos offense is going to be capable.
They should be able to. That's the thing is, how do you pick up the slack on defense is you score a few more points.
Yeah.
That's really all it comes down to. And I think
3 or 4 more points per game, and they probably win like 3 or 4 more games last year, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it makes a massive difference. And I know people were saying like this isn't the year we contend, but it can be. Anything can happen.
It's the year they get back in the playoffs, I feel like.
I agree, yeah. I don't think this makes them – if you thought they were a playoff team before this, unless you thought they were really just sneaking in, I don't think this should dissuade you from thinking they grab a wild card spot, especially in a year where there's 14 playoff teams overall.
Yeah, this should be the most complete Broncos team we've watched since Peyton Manning was healthy. You know what I mean? Like,
It should be.
we
don't know, but
it doesn't feel like the defense is going to be bad. It doesn't feel like the offense is going to be bad, and special teams should be solid. You know what I mean? Like, I think the punter's going to be better. McManus is always pretty even-keeled, and Deontay Spencer, like, they finally have a punt returner. So every level of the Broncos should be at least average, if not above average. So, and I think there's potential in any of those to be great. If you get one side of the ball to take a big leap this year, you want it to be the offense anyway. So,
yeah, and we can't like pretend like this news didn't just totally rain on our parade.
No, it did.
You and I were both very, very like excited about the season, and especially just like everything that's been going on this whole year.
We needed this.
We needed just like it was such a nice thing to look forward to.
Oh my God!
But it shouldn't erase that fact until proven otherwise. And even then, it's so good to just have football back.
There's always a little bit of dread, I feel, when September comes, because my life gets turned upside down with work. I have not felt that this year. Right,
because
that's how much more excited I am about football.
Right, and we feel like we can this year. And so don't jump off that bridge quite yet.
If I can steal from Barack Obama, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Right? That was one of their slogans, right?
Change, something like that.
Yeah, we'll change, and I think
yes, we can change.
Yes.
All right, unless they're gonna hammer straight through my wall. Let's talk about the depth chart, because there are 52 other guys not named Von Miller on the team.
Wait, what?
To be 53, believe it or not. So, some kind of interesting things I thought on the depth chart.
Nothing crazy, but some interesting.
Nothing crazy. We didn't have it listed, but just like a solid congrats to Jake Butt for battling back.
Yeah.
And making the team as the third tight end.
He is somebody I'm really excited to watch this year, and I will be rooting for him to excel with all my tiny little heart.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, along with the guys that we mentioned earlier, Jake Butt, I don't even want to say it, but I'm knocking on wood right now. He is too. A Jake Butt injury would be pretty fucking hard to swallow too.
Yeah, you'd feel
in terms
just
of
so
impact
bad for him.
for the team necessarily, but just like on a human level, that would really suck. But so Butt's a tight end. At center, they finally have a rookie. For the first time since 2010, they have a rookie starter at center. Lloyd Cushenberry.
Right.
Will be snapping the ball to Drew Locke this season. He was their third-round pick out of LSU. Hearing good things, obviously. Good enough to start. Graham
Compliments
Glasgow.
about his intelligence, too, which is always like a good sign for a center.
Yeah, and he was a starter on one of the best college football teams of all time last year.
Yeah.
And so he's got plenty of experience. He was a starter there for 2 years. And, no, I like the move. I like how bold they are, just plugging them in there. I think Reisner, Cushenberry, and Glasgow is a pretty strong interior.
Yeah, I'm optimistic about the interior. We've already talked about, question marks at tackles. We'll see how that progresses.
Yeah. Elijah Wilkinson's the right tackle. I think we all kind of
he was named starter. That's not a surprise. You put hoping we never have to see DeMar Dotson.
I hope so.
That would mean that Wilkinson's just handling his business, playing well. Again, they have a lot of tight ends, and if they want to play two right tackles, which was an idea we started thinking about back in the Michael Schofield days, go for it. If you need to do it, go for it. But I don't think they will with Drew Locke. Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick, they named co-starters at wide receiver.
Yeah, so they're going to be wearing one pair of pants. That means
Right.
two jerseys, though. That would be weird because you have to get the two numbers. But, they're going to be wearing one pair of pants and running the same route at the same time. Kind of like a stuck on me, Matt Damon,
exactly
Greg Kinnear situation at wide receiver. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I like that they're being creative.
The other big this is at least on local radio talks about this almost every day. The Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon co-starting running back position. They've made like such a big deal about it. And to me, as soon as they signed Melvin Gordon, like this was going to be the plan. You're going to use both running backs quite a bit, and you're going to figure out which one is playing well either that day or which one provides like the best opportunity scheme-wise against the defense they're facing, because they're different running backs. So like that's not a surprise to me. I don't care who gets like the first carry or the first series. It's not disrespectful to Phillip Lindsay or Gordon. You have two good backs. Just fucking use them, and I hope the running game is better this year. Like that's all I care about. Like decent last year, but it needs to be better, and that's why you bring in a guy like Gordon, and hopefully that's what happens.
No, exactly. And again, just another reason I'm so glad that I don't have that local radio to listen to here.
Yeah, I don't listen to much, but I've turned it on like 2 or 3 times recently, and I feel like they're always talking about the running backs.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean, Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon's going to take a few of Phillip Lindsay's carries, but he's really taking Royce Friedman's carries.
Yeah,
and he's taking Royce Friedman's third down snaps. That's what it comes down to. So I wrote, is Royce Friedman going to see the field at all? Probably not much, unless it's at the goal line, or if one of them is out with an injury.
Yeah. I mean, and Friedman caught the majority of the passes too, but you'll probably see him about as much as you saw Devontae Booker, I feel like, unless there's an injury. But if something happens to one of those guys, like I feel really good about Friedman coming in. So that's the nice part about that.
Yeah, I feel okay with it. I mean, how many times did the Broncos have 1st and 10 last year and just handed up the middle to Friedman for a gain of 1, you know?
Yeah.
They need more aggressive, and I don't think Royce Friedman necessarily fits that kind of offense. I mean, he can catch a pass out of the backfield. He's not exactly dynamic, but he's got good hands, and he can plow it in from the 1-yard line without fumbling, like Melvin Gordon.
He's the Broncos' Leonard Fournette. He just doesn't get the opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Any
other surprises on the depth chart?
No, I kind of talked a lot about Todd Davis earlier. Josie Jewell's taking his spot, and Todd Davis, nobody's claimed him. So he's still a free agent, or not claimed him, but nobody's signed him. He's still a free agent. The Broncos got Bosby back. So after I shit on the Broncos for getting rid of Todd Davis and Bosby's on the practice squad, which is nice. I still think they would be better if they had Todd Davis on the roster, because Mark Barron has a hamstring issue already, and I don't think he's playing Monday. So, again, whatever. Maybe like there's something about Todd Davis I don't know. I just think he would have made the linebacker position group stronger. But I guess I'll be watching Josie Jewell closely on Monday night.
Yeah, I don't think it's an ideal situation.
If it's a mistake, I'm going to notice it.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote about it in our preview, but the run game, or the run defense, I should say, didn't get better because Todd Davis came back. Todd Davis was in that Jacksonville game where Leonard Fournette ran for 220 yards. The reason the run defense got better was because they took Mike Purcell off the practice squad and put him in at nose tackle, and took Alexander Johnson, the osteoporosis bus driver, and plugged him at inside linebacker. That was the difference.
Yeah.
It wasn't Todd Davis necessarily. So Alexander Johnson's still one of the most underrated players in the league. We haven't really talked about him that much just because he's so steady. There's not a ton to talk about.
He's
but
in the
he's
preview episode.
Gonna make a big difference there. Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to say is just the wide receivers. Pretty strong. I think we'll see a little bit of everyone. I don't know if KJ Hamler's going to be ready, but Tyree Cleveland made the roster, which I was a little surprised about given how deep they were at wide receiver. And they're carrying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 when you throw in Deontay Spencer as a returner at that position. Tyree Cleveland was pretty impressive from what everyone said in training camp. We didn't really get to see it, but he was impressive enough to make the roster in a season where it would have made sense to put him on an expanded practice squad. So they could have 3 really good rookie wide receivers on their hands. Maybe the best since, I don't know. Do you remember the 2010 Steelers with Mike Wallace, Emmanuel Sanders, and Antonio Brown?
Oh shit! Yeah, that was a big group. Yeah,
and by the way, you have Cortland Sutton, a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. So I think that's it's a big strength. It's gone from a weakness to one of the best position groups on the team.
Yeah, and that's not even thinking about that the tight ends could be great too. So
pretty much the whole passing game.
Is Drew Locke going to pass for 6,000 yards? You heard it here first.
Probably.
6,000-yard Drew Locke is what they'll call him. Okay.
Lock it up, baby.
Lock it up. We'll have the prediction episode. What's that?
2,000 of those yards going to Andrew Beck.
However they want to get it. I don't care. So we'll do the Titans Broncos prediction episode will be coming up in a couple days here on this channel. Aqib Talib retired. I think that's the last thing. Your question, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, what do you think?
I'd put him in.
I'd put him in too. I don't think it's going to happen though because I think a lot of people don't like him.
I think he needed to get that 11th pick 6 to be tied in first place, right? He was just one away from tying Rod Woods or one of the Woodsons, whatever Woodson.
I mean, we talk about how inflated quarterback numbers are now, but cornerback and defensive back stats were so inflated back in the day too because every quarterback was throwing 20 interceptions a year. You got guys like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson who throw 3 picks a year now, and we expect these guys to have double-digit interceptions. It's not going to happen. 35 interceptions from 2008 through 2020 is impressive, especially when out of 1 out of every 3 you take back for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think he was as good as any cornerback in his prime, over the last 15 years. So I'd put him in, but I'm biased because I love him.
I am too.
He's got a podcast he's doing now.
He's our rival.
Yeah, he's
agrees to come on.
We got to take him down a notch, and then we get him on.
Yeah, I don't trust us necessarily to win any sort of battle versus keep the lead, but all I know is do not wear a chain and/or necklace to the fight.
Nope. You just hope Talib is the guy who brings the gun to the fight.
Yeah, do the work for you.
Bring a knife to a gunfight against Aqib Talib, you're probably going to win.
You're going to do fine. Yeah. You're looking good.
All right. I think that's a good place to stop today's episode. Again, Titans Broncos preview. I said we were going to talk about it. I don't know why I said that at the beginning, but it'll be in the prediction episode because we got a lot of good shit in there. That's it. Okay, we did it. Bye.
Yeah, we're hopping over to the Patreon now.
That's right. So for Patreon, we'll be doing our NFL predictions every week there. So if you want to get in on that shiz, that's where it's going to be.
There you go.